morning and thank you for joining us tonight for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. Well, at this hour, 2 East Valley students face felony charges for making threats to harm students who identify as LGBTQ. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk joining us now in the studio tonight, looking more into that investigation and the local reaction. Kyle.
Well, these threats were taken very seriously. 2 teens were arrested in the middle of the night, and out of an abundance of caution, the East Valley School District closed all schools today. The superintendent called the intolerance and hate horrific. He says it has no place in the district. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office says the threats against LGBTQ students, along with statements and depictions of firearms, were mentioned in a group chat on Snapchat. The district and authorities were first notified around 10:45 Thursday night. Within hours, deputies served search warrants at the teens' homes. They were arrested and expelled from the East Valley School District.
I hope that our students know that there are people who are actively working to keep them safe, who are actively working to ensure that that every experience that they have leads them to know that they are loved.
Esteban Heredia is the former president of Spokane Pride. He says threats against the LGBTQ community is nothing new, but it's important these incidents get reported.
But at the end of the day, everybody wants to feel loved. They want to feel safe. They want the ability to live and to live fully. And I think it's very sad because we do know that just as much as love happens in the home first, so does hate.
At this point, the 2 students face charges of threats to bomb or injure property, a felony. The sheriff's office says since none of the potential victims were aware of the threats, they don't meet the elements of a hate crime charge. Deputies say a 3rd teen suspect's been identified but not yet contacted, as he's currently out of the state. Additional charges and arrests are possible. In a statement to parents, East Valley Superintendent Brian Talbot said in part, the intolerance, ignorance, and hate that sometimes comes to and through the schoolhouse doors is horrific at best. It is the same hate, intolerance, and ignorance displayed throughout society on any given day. Talbot went on to say the incident does not define East Valley, nor does it have a place in it. And the sheriff's office says hate against any group will not be tolerated. They're asking parents to talk with their kids and remind them that comments or threats they make online have real-world consequences, which could result in their arrest. Cody?
Kyle, thank you so much. Another developing news tonight. Nearly 60 years after her disappearance, the Ponderay County Sheriff's Office identified the remains of a Montana woman. According to the sheriff's office, a hunter found Mildred Hubert's remains north of Newport back in 1952. By that point, Hubert's had been missing for 14 years. Multiple agencies examined the remains, but the case quickly went cold. But with newly developed DNA technology, the skull was sent off to the Washington State forensic anthropologist. After multiple rounds of testing, they determined that skull belonged to Hubert's. The details surrounding her death remain unknown. For the complete story, head over to KREM.com. Looking ahead right now, after 5 years of delays, the trial of Lori Vala starts next week. You may remember Vala was charged with conspiracy and murder in connection with the deaths of her 2 children and her new husband's late wife back in 2019. Both she and new husband, Chad Daybell, pleaded not guilty to the charges. I'll be sure to bring you the very latest starting next week. Hopefully you enjoyed those last few days of sunshine because we could be seeing snow in the next few days. Let's get straightened over now to meteorologist Michelle Boss in the Weather Center tonight for a look at that forecast.
We may see a few sun breaks over the weekend, but it's still going to be some pretty big ups and downs with some pretty chilly temperatures and the chance for snow, some grupple, maybe even a thunderstorm tomorrow. Kind of a wild ride over the weekend. Let's take a look at satellite and radar. And we've got mainly rain showers out there right now. You got to go up in the higher elevations to see some snow. But if you do go up in those higher elevations, the snow could be heavy. Keep this in mind if you're traveling anywhere over the Cascades, over Sherman Pass, north central Washington, or over Lookout Pass in the Idaho Panhandle. You can see the potential snow amounts there through the day tomorrow, and they are pretty heavy, so expect it to be slow going. Temperatures right now, though, are relatively mild. We're well above freezing in Spokane, 39. Shouldn't worry about any slick roads tomorrow here in the lower elevations. 37 in Coeur d'Alene, 44 in Moses Lake, 41 in Lewiston. That doesn't mean we won't see some snow, but likely any snow that falls will be melting pretty quickly. So look for rain and snow showers overnight into tomorrow. The high 47 degrees, well below average, and even colder on Sunday with snow showers. Temperatures starting off below freezing and highs only in the mid-40s.
In the meantime, topping national headlines tonight, a catastrophic storm tearing through Arkansas. Officials declared it a level 3 mass casualty event today. The bulk of the damage happened in Little Rock. Take a look right here at some of the damage and some of the aftermath. The region sat under severe storm warnings for most of the day. There have been reports of a lot of damage to the metro area, but it's unknown at this hour how many people have died. Coming up in about 10 minutes, our CBS correspondent breaks down what's known at this hour. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden was in Mississippi today to see for himself the damage left behind from last week's tornadoes. He also announced the government will pay 100% of the recovery, shelter costs, and cleanup costs for at least 30 days.
And if you don't have insurance or you're underinsured, FEMA can help you get started by funding your home repairs, replacing some lost and damaged property like cars and refrigerators.
According to the National Weather Service, the state will likely see more tornadoes in the coming weeks. Authorities in Colombia raised the alert level for an active volcano to orange. Now, what that means, it's likely to erupt in the next few days. Officials say a rock fractured inside the volcano about a week ago. Since then, they've been picking up increased seismic activity. Now, the last time this volcano erupted was all the way back in 1985 when it created the South American country's biggest ever natural disaster that killed more than 25,000 people. Let's go right now to Nightbeat for a quick look at the day's top stories. A Spokane Valley man's facing a judge to determine whether he's competent to stand trial 6 years after his arrest. Vladimir Pavlik's charged with attempted murder of his wife after reportedly beating her unconscious and cutting out her tongue in 2016. His defense attorney asked for this competency hearing. A psychologist who evaluated Pavlik in last fall determined he's competent to stand trial and may understand far more than he lets on.
My impressions were along the lines that, based off of historical data, his response style within the context of the evaluation and his time at Eastern State Hospital suggests he may have been making efforts to exaggerate symptoms.
If he's found incompetent, the state's allowed under statute to send Pavlik for competency restoration just one more time. Tonight, we're learning more. There will be no charges filed against the Spokane County Sheriff's deputy in the deadly shooting of a man in Hilliard last August. At the time, deputies say the man was wanted on a felony warrant, and he reportedly backed his pickup towards deputies, nearly pinning one against the wall of a storage unit. A Spokane County prosecutor's office found Sergeant Darren Staley had reason to fear for his life when he shot the suspect. They ruled the shooting as a justified use of deadly force. And finally, Avista is trying to raise electric rates in Washington starting this summer. The company made a filing with the Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission. If approved, it'll increase their revenue by 6%. According to Avista, they experienced a major increase in usage last summer, which cost them more money in wholesale costs. The proposed increase is reportedly to accommodate the increase. If approved, customers would see an average increase of $5.60. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, text the word night to 509-448-2000. We'll send them right to your phone. Medical history made in Portland. A revolutionary no-cut brain surgery has been successfully performed at the Oregon Health and Science University. It's yielding life-changing results for patients with tremors without making any incisions. Familial tremors typically get worse with time and can severely inhibit people from completing daily tasks such as eating or writing. The new type of surgery uses ultrasound technology to target dysfunctional circuits in the brain causing tremors. The whole procedure takes only about an hour and the results are immediate. Also in your health news tonight, just weeks after Bonner General Health announced they're suspending their labor and delivery services, another Idaho hospital announced they're doing the same. As of June 1st, Valor Health in Emmett, Idaho will no longer offer obstetrical services. They cite staffing shortages and financial issues due to inflation. In a press release, they said recruiting and maintaining a full staff of nurses in a rural setting is proven to be too difficult. A transition plan will be announced soon.